Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fine Tuesday? I'm doing quite well. I do want to talk a little bit about this Justin Baldoni lawsuit that he has now filed back against Blake Lively. Okay, so he was threatening through his attorney Brian Friedman. He was threatening to sue Blake Lively and others, and now he has done so. Now, this was about, I don't know, 6 days ago, 4 days ago, something like that. And there are a few different things going on. And, it's a long lawsuit. It's like 179 pages long. So definitely ain't going to be reading the whole thing. It literally took me like all day yesterday and then a few hours today just to read it and make sure that I do even understand the first pass at it. There is a summary. Let me bring up my web. This is a really good summary. So if you don't really know what happened in that lawsuit, this is pretty much the argument that Justin Baldoni is making. And I noticed they like this at bottom lately. They like to say that lately, but it says at bottom. Again, this is Justin Baldoni's argument. There's just one paragraph from 179 pages. Okay, so obviously very difficult to sum it up in a paragraph, but I think this does do a pretty good job just to get us off the starting block. So it says at bottom, this case is a simple one. Lively used her power to steal a movie from its director and production studio. Then she held them hostage to her incessant demands by extortionate threats to destroy what they had left. All the while, she failed to understand the heart and soul of the movie she stole and the book it was based on, let alone the intensely personal impact the book had on millions worldwide. When her thoughtless promotions fell flat because they focused on flowery glamour and cross-merchandising opportunities for her own brands, rather than centering the voices of survivors, she finally got a taste of accountability, and she did not care for it. She made one final demand to plaintiffs, that they finally and forever fall on the sword for her by apologizing for things that they had not done, killing their future prospects in the process. When they refused, defendants, that's Blake Lively and them, gloves came off, and they used their power and resources to try to take down plaintiffs for good. By coordinating with these PR people, Jones, that's Stephanie Jones, and Sloan, which is Leslie Sloan, master practitioners of the dark arts of public relations. In an intricately planned character assassination plot. Justin Baldoni goes on to say, they nearly pulled it off too. So, like I said, that is pretty much what Justin Baldoni is arguing. And we have seen his arguments to some extent before, because we have seen his lawsuit that was filed against the New York Times already, which was making pretty similar allegations against the New York Times. But now he has finally sued also Blake Lively. Again, very long lawsuit. Again, not getting into the whole thing today, but there are a few things I want to talk about. Like, I started here on this little at bottom summary because I do think it is very on purpose and very intentional that they put this dark arts of public relations in here. And I do think it is because Justin Baldoni wants to call to the attention of the courts just like how malicious and insidious it is. Now, while I do agree with Justin Baldoni and his lawyer on that point, what is going to be pretty difficult for Justin Baldoni to overcome or to explain is how or why he was also engaging in these same dark arts. Look right here. It just says it literally right here, that Stephanie Jones was supposedly engaging as a master practitioner of the dark arts of public relations. Baby boy, Justin, Stephanie Jones was your publicist for like 6-7 years. That was your dark arts practitioner until about 15 freaking minutes ago. So, what's good for the goose ain't good for the gander, or what? So there's a couple things I want to show y'all. Let me just also, before I forget, I want to talk about the list of defendants because it relates to the rest of what I'm going to be talking about today. Okay, so here's the complaint, docket 1. Again, this one was filed a few days ago. Today's the 21st. It was filed on January 16th, 2025. 179 pages. As you can see, it does say complaint. Now, this was filed by Wayfarer Studios, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, The Ends With Us Movie Company, Melissa Nathan, and Jennifer Abel, who were two people that actually were sued. These people were sued by not only Blake Lively, but also by the former PR lady, Stephanie Jones. Now, I don't know if Melissa Nathan was for sure. I'm just doing this off memory. Don't quote me on that. But Jennifer Abel used to work for Stephanie Jones. Stephanie Jones is the flip-flopper. She used to be Justin Baldoni's publicist. And just last year, a few months ago in August, they had a falling out. Well, in the falling out, Jennifer Abel, who was working for that lady, Stephanie, she stayed with Justin Baldoni. Jennifer Abel is also friendly with this lady who owns her own PR company named Melissa Nathan. Now, all these people were also sued by Blake Lively. All right. But there was one other person who was sued by Blake Lively, and that was a man by the name of Jed Wallace, who owns a company called Street Relations Inc. Very importantly, Jed Wallace and Street Relations Inc., who were both sued by Blake Lively, they're defendants in the Blake Lively suit. Jed Wallace and his company, Street Relations Inc., seem to be the only defendants that are not suing back. Okay. So see how I have it written here like no Jed Wallace? That's my writing right there. No Jed Wallace. Why isn't Jed Wallace suing here? I think that's very interesting. So there were a few things in the complaint that came up. Even though Jed Wallace isn't suing, his name does get dropped. Now, Jed Wallace, let me bring up the web just to remind y'all, or to show you maybe for the first time, maybe you didn't see it yet before, how he kind of fits in on this wild and wacky cast and crew. So here's my mind map of sorts. Nothing here should be taken as if it's a fact. This is just my notes, my opinions, my impressions, and a collection of screenshots just to help me organize my thoughts. As such, it should be taken with a grain of salt and not as fact or accusations or allegations or claims. But like I said, I wanted to acquaint you with who is this Jed Wallace? Where does he fit in here? This is him right here, Jed Wallace, owner of Street Relations Inc. He was brought on by a woman named Melissa Nathan. He was brought on to help handle crisis PR. Okay, this is pretty much not disputed. It pretty much seems like no one disputes that this is what happened. We had Jennifer Abel. Let me show y'all where she is. This is her right here, Jennifer Abel. All right. She was formerly, like I said, working for Stephanie Jones. They parted ways. Okay. Then we have this Jennifer Abel. She stays with Justin Baldoni. See what I mean? This is a flip-flopper. She flip-flops over here to Blake Lively. Let me make this bigger so y'all can see it. Just so that you are aware, just so you can acquaint yourself with these people, here's Leslie Sloan. This is Blake Lively's publicist. Okay. They were previously kind of working with each other, against each other, or whatever, but now this one's flip-flopped. She's done turned over all the cell phone logs and everything over to Blake Lively. And that's where we get all the messages and everything. The messages came off this lady's phone right here, Jennifer Abel. All right. So we run into a crisis PR situation. The Justin Baldoni team does, okay? And he wants to call in for reinforcements. So Jennifer Abel does just that and calls in this woman right here. Tag, you're it, the agency group. Tag, Melissa Nathan. Now, Melissa Nathan, she has a sister that works at Page Six, which is a New York Post publication. Her name is Sarah Nathan. Sarah Nathan comes into our story again through the web because she had written some previously not that flattering articles about Bam Margera, also from Page Six. Sarah Nathan just happens to be a side character at the moment, but yes, so Jennifer Abel, she tags in Melissa Nathan. Well, Melissa Nathan, she wants to tag somebody in too. She says, I got this guy over here. His name's Jed Wallace. Jed Wallace is an expert with social media and Reddit, etc., etc. Okay, a lot of y'all, that's going to be a little bit of a recap, but I do just want it to be in one place. So you see what I mean here? It's like a bunch of different experts working on it. And at one point, I mean, I think all of these were working on it. We had Stephanie Jones on the job as late as August 14th, 2024. You had Jennifer Abel on the job. You had Melissa Nathan gets tagged in from Jennifer Abel. And then you get Jed Wallace tagged in from Melissa Nathan. But I am just so interested in exactly fine grain detail, exactly how does this so-called smear machine work? Like, I want to dissect it. I want to understand it like it is something that I can take apart and put back together from memory. I don't even want to have to look at the diagram. I don't even want to have to look at the picture on the front of the box. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to understand it. And that's one of the reasons I've been really taking my time to read this case, because I want to understand, like, through context clues and through conjecture and just opinion, speculation, and theory, the context clues from what we do have on the public record, taking it as fact. I mean, I don't know, maybe this stuff is doctored, and there are indeed allegations that some of these things have been doctored, like taking the emojis off and stuff like that. But I want to show y'all some of the indicators that I came across while reading this almost 180-page document that do allow us to get one step closer to understanding the ins and outs of exactly how this machine works. And we're going to be zooming in right there around Jed Wallace, because I am just so curious what in the hell Jed Wallace actually does. If you watch my most recent videos on this topic, you will know it appears, and according to my opinion, I mean, I've already laid out all of the reasons why I think this, so I do welcome you to go and watch that before making your own mind up. But in my opinion, I believe from public evidence that this is the same Jed Wallace and the same Street Relations Inc. that was put in charge of Bam Margera's recovery protocol while he was under an agreement with the Jack 4 movie. I mean, the same Jed Wallace with the same Street Relations. That's what it appears to me. So I'm just curious, how could Jed Wallace be like a PR guy for Heather Hayes Recovery Centers and also be the same guy that Bam Margera needs to check in on the phone with and be the same center point of contact? I mean, Jed Wallace was basically the Lima Yevrimovich before Lima came into the picture. I mean, like, that appears to be what the function of this man was. Now, I'm not saying he had a conservatorship over him. It doesn't appear that that was the case, but it does appear that this is the same Jed Wallace, this guy, who was in charge of Bam Margera's recovery in the agreement with Paramount. So I wanted to zoom into some of the references to Jed Wallace that I came across in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Okay, so this is page 141, and on this part of the lawsuit document, this is the complaint that Baldoni filed against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and it is page 141, paragraph 231. And we're talking about, at this time, Nathan, this is Melissa Nathan, started hearing from other journalists that Sloan, that's Leslie Sloan, Blake Lively's publicist, was planting negative stories about Justin Baldoni and was under the impression that Justin Baldoni's camp had broken the truce. Okay, so at this point in the document, Justin Baldoni is saying that they had kind of, his PR people and Blake Lively's PR people at some point had come to some type of truce, had come to some type of agreement. Hey, look, we'll hold off on bad press about each other and planting stories in the media for now, putting our differences aside so that we can get this movie out, which is in the best interest of both of us or whatever. And so that's kind of what was offered up in this lawsuit so far. And it says, anxious Sony executives began reaching out to Wayfair, seeking clarity. Okay, so this is text messages, pictures, screenshots of text messages, which are purporting to be from the anxious Sony executives. So what does it say? It looks like it was taken from Justin's phone. So a screenshot. So the blue is Justin. And then I don't know who's in there with him. It just says, do you believe Leslie? That's Blake's publicist. Can you spin the crisis PR thing so it's actually factual? There have been lies put out up against powerful people, just protecting myself. Tag represents a lot of people, and that headline was just to smear more. And then someone's like, okay, so do we say that Blake and Ryan hired Harvey Weinstein's publicist? And Justin Baldoni's like, that's a conversation I need to have with the CEO of Wayfair, Jamie Heath, later today. So then here is another screenshot from, it appears this is like a group text. This is the PR thread with Melissa Nathan in it. It says, and here's a message from Justin. Hey, tag team. I've been seeing some Instagram comments on random posts defending me by people who are private with no followers, and they feel like bots. So this is Justin Baldoni bringing forward to his PR team's attention, hey, I'm seeing some bot activities. It looks like there's bots defending me, and I don't want that. He says, can you please confirm we're not doing any of that? I really don't want bots defending me, as it feeds into their potential narrative. Okay, so who says this back? I'm not sure who says this back. It looks like it's Melissa Nathans is the one talking. I don't know who. Your guess is as good as mine, but it's right here in the blue. I'll read it. The person says, I can fully confirm we do not have bots. This is not also what we do. Bots look fake to anyone. We do not have bots. And she's like, we don't ever have bots. We don't use them. Bots look fake, she says. The other team is doing something very specific in terms of what they do. Okay, so see how this is a little bit cryptic? It's impossible to know exactly which other team she's talking about, right? I mean, you tell me, it's ambiguous. But it appears to me, if we're just reading through, and the only thing I have to go off is this right here, okay? I'm just speculating, but it appears to me that whoever this is, let's say it's Melissa Nathan, she's saying, no, we don't do bots. The other team, I'm assuming, is Jed Wallace's team, okay? The other team is doing something very specific. What is it? She don't say. In terms of what they do. The other team is doing something very specific in terms of what they do. Well, what in the hell is that? It's almost like it's written like a little bit like strangely so that you can't exactly know what it is they do. The very next sentence she says, or he or whoever it is, I think is Melissa Nathan, she says, I know Jamie, that's Wayfair's CEO, and Jed, I'm assuming Jed Wallace, connected on this. Okay, so take it all together. I can fully confirm we do not have bots. It's also not what we do. Bots look fake. The other team is doing something very specific in terms of what they do. Jamie and Jed Wallace connected on this. Bots and fan accounts also run pretty organically by now with all the AI platforms and Google Analytics itself. There is no bot army. That's a myth these days. No, that's not true. That's not true. No. Bot armies are not myths, sweetie, honey, child, baby. And I'm assuming Melissa Nathan would know this. Maybe she don't, but if she don't, she's in the wrong line of work. There are absolutely bot armies. Now, do I agree with her that they look fake and people can sniff them out pretty much immediately? Yeah. But to imply that bot armies are organic is silly because it's literally saying a bot could be organic. It's literally the opposite of that. It's binary. It's either or. It's not a organic or a bot. It's a bot. I could see maybe she's just trying to do some fluffery puffery to try and make what's his name feel better. Because remember, this is in the context of Justin Baldoni saying, can you confirm we are not doing that? And she's like, oh, no. We don't do that. That's fake. Nobody does that no more. That's fake. Jed, talk to your boy, Jamie. Go talk to him. Any digital team these days is far more intelligent to utilize something so obvious. Now, I do think it's interesting. She's still spelling stuff like the UK way with the S instead of the Z. Justin says, okay, please monitor. Things I'm more worried about is that we are planting these stories, which is not true, obviously. Okay, so Jen A. Bell says, chiming in here, the people saying that there are bots and this is a PR play on your side is a minority voice compared to the thousands and thousands who are calling it what it is and reacting to Blake's own actions and interviews. We never want the action of the majority to dictate what we do on our end. So this is Jen A. Bell. Just to remind y'all, this is the one that used to be employed by the flip-flopper, but then she left. So she's still in the group texts over here. She's still with Justin Baldoni today, I think, to this day. So she's chiming in. She's giving her PR advice. She says, we have to always look at the big picture, which is still enormously on your side. But I do see a want and a need from fans to move on. People are now commenting that they're bored with the many articles still coming out about this drama. When we move on, they do too. So we need to find ways to keep elevating not just the DV reaction, but also the other things in your life, like family, being back home, and Wayfarer. That's not tone deaf, in my opinion. It actually sends the message that you are focusing on what really matters, and that's what's going to help with the Blake narrative too, my POV. Okay, so here's another message. This time it's from Melissa Nathan, and she says, good morning. Sharing with you a perfect example of why we don't use, quote, bots. I wouldn't even worry to think they've hired a team as A, there's nothing to find, and B, they hired an awful team, which I have sent to our guy. Who's our guy? I don't know. Could it be Jed Wallace? Who knows? But anyway, Melissa Nathan sent it to the guy. so he can track and pull so we have evidence of it. This below should answer everyone's question on what a bot team looks like when every single comment suddenly skews in her favor in a nonsensical way. Justin Baldoni says, okay, but how can we say something that we are not doing any of this? It looks like we are trying to take her down. Melissa's like, no, it doesn't. They're doing this all themselves, and it's really obvious. This is bots. Okay, so the reason I wanted to bring that up to y'all is primarily because of this text message exchange right here, where Justin is saying, hey, can we confirm we're not using bots? And she's like, I can fully confirm we are not doing that. This right here, the other team is doing something very specific in terms of what they do. Now, what is that? What is that? You know, I was hoping that as I moved through the complaint and as I moved through the rest of the progeny of filings that are going to be filed in this case and in Stephanie Jones's case and in the other cases, that hopefully we can start to put together the pieces of what exactly does Jed Wallace do in general. He's a PR relations consultant. He's a guy that is in charge of celebrity recovery protocol enforcement. I mean, what really is this man doing? Okay, that's my main question. And how in the hell did he end up all mixed in with the Blake Lively PR Hollywood allegation, scam, smear, machine, whatever the allegations are? Okay, so that was those text messages right there. That's where those came from. Page 141 of the complaint against Blake Lively. Now I want to move down to page 160 and 161 because there's a few more pieces to the proverbial puzzle that give us a little bit of an idea. So now we are looking a few pages down. This is page 159 and paragraph 266. Now we're going to look at some more text message exchanges about a similar topic. This is bringing in Jed Wallace and his social media expertise team or whatever. Now, here we have Baldoni and his lawyer again trying to argue that really Blake Lively wants to get mad at Justin Baldoni for stuff that really is her fault. Like, she is the reason why people didn't like her actions. Like, she was out here talking about hide your kids, hide your florals. They beating everybody up out here with the. I mean, I don't know what she was doing exactly, but it wasn't good. And it was, you know, according to public sentiment, it was insensitive. Okay. So we're talking about that in this portion of the filing. Her actions naturally triggered organic public criticism and unleashed a cycle of negative coverage, including, as is common in the digital age, resurfacing of old, unflattering content. Far from being the product of a calculated smear campaign by Justin Baldoni and them, the backlash against Lively was the inevitable fallout of her own mercenary messaging and self-promotion tactics, amplified by her inability to read the room in addressing such a serious subject. Okay, so here's the text messages. So let's dig in here. We're going to do a little dissecting. We're like in the 10th grade biology. And one thing I will say, this is just my opinion. Justin Baldoni, while, I mean, listen, I'm not on either person's side because Justin Baldoni like literally hired Bam Margera's ops. So on personal bias alone, I really can't stand Justin. I'm so sorry. Like I cannot be in this Justin Baldoni stan association. All right. But I do believe the man is absolutely clueless about really how this whole PR thing works. And truly I was too, until I was thrust in it, just like he has now been. But he really is just like so naive and innocent. And you can tell he has no idea how it works based on his questions and based on just what he's asking. He's kind of like a dad. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're showing your dad a meme or something and he's like, who's that? And it's like, okay, dad, please. It's no one. It's just look at the meme. You know him? No. It's kind of like giving that. It's kind of giving that, which I think is fine. That's cute. I mean, it's certainly not something that anybody with a conscience could possibly just summon up. You would have to be exposed to it to know what's going on. But here he is. He sent a Perez Hilton TikTok or a tweet or whatever, like a little video Perez Hilton makes. He sends it in to Melissa at the, Melissa, the one who brought Jed Wallace on. And he goes, this Perez Hilton video, this isn't us, right? Assuming the guy we brought in would never do this. Okay, who's the guy we brought in? I don't know. Okay, your guess is as good as mine, but I am wondering, is he talking about Jed Wallace? I am wondering, is he talking about Jed Wallace? Because remember, Justin Baldoni, just based on this text message and the one we just read, does seem to be like not understanding exactly what Jed Wallace is doing. He is the client and he doesn't even know what's getting put out there. And as you can see in these messages, there's like Melissa Abel, what's her name? Jen Abel and Melissa Nathan are like, no, 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 it's organic. She's doing this to herself and all that, right? That's what we've seen so far. But Justin is asking, like, this Perez Hilton, this isn't us, right? This ain't Jed. Like, I don't know if he's asking if it's Jed Wallace, but he's like, the guy we brought in wouldn't do this, right? I don't know how many guys they brought in. I don't know if they only brought one, if they brought more than one in. But I am wondering if he's asking, is Jed Wallace responsible for this Perez Hilton? I mean, look it's a Perez Hilton video. See, Perez Hilton. This isn't us, correct? Assuming the guy we brought in would never do this, ... And Justin Baldoni's like, please, we don't have Perez out here shilling, do we? Melissa says, none of us would ever do this. And then she starts throwing shade at Perez Hilton. Also, no one even pays any attention to this person past 2005. He is not relevant. He does not create a news headline. He does not get pickup. He is just now a troll. I mean, she ain't wrong. There is not one outlet, Melissa Nathan says, that would cover anything he said or take it seriously. I think as well there is this struggle where it's kind of maybe even unbelievable the way that people are turning against her. But they are. Organically. It's organic. She's blown herself up by her own actions. So again, we have another example of Justin Baldoni saying, we're not using bots, right? We're not planting Perez Hilton stories, right? And Melissa Nathan again assuring him, we don't do that. We wouldn't do that. Okay. Now it goes on. Let's see if we can pick up some more clues. They have an article in here from the Daily Mail that Melissa Nathan sent. And it says, unearthed Blake Lively interview. Show her use slur for trans people. Melissa Nathan sent that article to Justin and she says, this just ran. Obviously, none of us knew about this either. But once media goes in, they go in. Now, what is she talking about here? We have another puzzle piece from Blake Lively's public complaint, where Blake Lively said that this is part of the astroturfing method. That you have little social media influencers or little fake news sources, tabloids, whatever, and you kind of start seeding on social media a certain narrative, like maybe somebody shares an old clip of something. But then a bigger publication will pick that up, and then bigger, and then bigger, and then all of a sudden it's an actual real media push, a real PR push against the person. And that's what Blake Lively has deemed and termed astroturfing. So this appears to be Melissa Nathan confirming that. Once media goes in, quote, they go in. So this isn't us. We did not make them run this article. We did not know about this article coming out. It just came out, and this is part of the astroturfing. I mean, this is me kind of putting the two sides together to try and see if I can make them reconcile, okay? But I'm not reading anything more than what I'm looking at right here and making my own opinion, and you should do the same. The text goes on. Melissa Nathan says to Justin, her client, the best thing we can do right now is be quiet. Let's get through this week together. Then move on. Back to regular planning with Instagram posts and thoughtful ideas and messages. Okay, and look at the next message right here, y'all. It says, quote, the content creators are on fire. And Justin, she has handed it to them all on a plate. Okay, but let me back up. Look at the context that we're reading this in, y'all. Justin Baldoni. Hey, this ain't us, right? This Perez Hilton? No, we would never do that. Plus, he's completely irrelevant. This is organic. This just ran. None of us knew about it, but the media thing has started. Best thing we can do is STFU. But look, the content creators are on fire. Which ones? Which ones? Not some content creators, not some random content creator. Like, they obviously have an agreed upon group of content creators. That's what the means. That's what the means. That's how it operates in English. I'm not making it up. So who are the content creators? The content creators are on fire. And Justin, Blake has handed it to them all on a plate. Just concentrate on the success of the movie and your family and your next project. I have this weird feeling she's going to reach out to you for a conversation in the next couple weeks, or he will. And then she sends something else. And to me, this is a huge smoking. And I mean, it's right here public. I'm not looking at anything y'all can't see, but who's this? Melissa Nathan just said, no, we're not Perez Hilton. No, we don't do that. Look, Melissa Nathan says, we didn't do this either. The content creators are on fire. And then she sends this content creator. Is this perhaps one of the content creators that could possibly be on fire? I don't know. Y'all can put a 1 in the chat for yes and put a 2 in the chat for no. Okay, 1 in the chat for yes, 2 in the chat for no. Your reading of this, do you read this to be that is one of the content creators that they have? You tell me. Write an analysis out in the comments if you need to do so. Okay, but I do have, just for fun, this person's video. I have that video so we could go see it. I don't know why it was put up in these people's group chats. I don't know why it was sent as a link. It could only be guessed. It could only be speculated. But here it is right here. So I'm going to go to it. Okay, and it's got a lot of views. Okay, so this person, I've never heard of her before. Maybe she doesn't look familiar to me. Name is Leah Nauer. Light Foundation 2. She's got the filter. Okay, I don't follow her, as you can see, and the thumbnail the thumbnail pic is Blake Lively's interviews for It Ends With Us. Now, just likes alone, it has almost 1 million likes. I mean, I don't know how many views it has. Let's see if I could go to her. I don't want to lose my spot. She's got 132,000 followers. She's an actress, a comedian, whatever VO is. Come out to a show, leahnauer.com. So she's a TikToker. Okay. Is she one of the ones that's planted? I don't know. Let's go to the video.
Bring your girlfriends, wear your florals, pass out friendship bracelets, just have a real girly pop time.
The movie deals with some pretty heavy themes. What do you want audience members to take away from the film?
Oh, wow. Great question. What I hope people take away from the movie is that all of my hair was using my new hair care line, which is available at Target.
Okay, so it's like a parody. Okay, it's like a parody. So this is the link that Melissa Nathan sent to Justin whenever she seemingly was reassuring him that they didn't plant no articles with Perez Hilton. Okay, so this does go on, and we do get a few more little puzzle pieces. The contemporaneous communications of the plaintiffs show a growing awareness. So this is Baldoni and Melissa Nathan and the PR agent and Jen A. Bell and all them. Growing awareness that they were being set up to be blamed for Lively's disastrous missteps. And we get some more text messages. So now this is page 164. And we just have Melissa Nathan saying, we're not using the bots. Blake is doing the bots against her own self. So, I mean, what do y'all think about that little puzzle piece aspect of it, public puzzle piece? Because it does kind of appear like that is what is trying to be implied over there, right? Like, no, we're not Perez Hilton. But we do got this girl, Laura, whoever, but don't worry, because what's her name? Blake Lively is handing it to her on a silver platter anyway. And then I just have this as a question. It's not a statement, it's a question. But I said, does Jed source content creators to make videos and posts? Like, could that be why Justin Baldoni seems to be ever confused about what is even freaking going on? Like, he's like having to send articles to his own PR. Like, did we do this? Are we responsible for this? If we did, can we not? Why would he possibly think that bots were being employed? Why would he think that? And then remember, we did see in a previous filing that Jed Wallace is the one that's responsible for full Reddit ... takedown. Okay. Now I did find some more information in the public record. So let me scoot on over it there. And that is right here on Reddit. And it says, I just have the screenshot right here, so I don't have to get off my little web here, but it's from a month ago. And it says, mods of FOMOI and pop culture chat on the agency group PR payroll. Okay, the agency group is Melissa Nathan. Remember, she was the one that was called in for Crisis PR, and then she brought in Jed Wallace. The post says, back when the public opinion of Blake Lively first started turning, I thought it was odd how sudden the public narrative had turned against her. At this time, I tried to search on Reddit for any posts of people also thinking it was odd. When I didn't find any, I attempted to post my own discussion starter about the subject on both FOMOI and pop culture chat. However, the posts were removed from both subreddits for being, quote, low effort. I had never posted there before, so I just figured that was normal and moved on. Now with the latest legal complaints from Blake Lively and the messages from Melissa Nathan and the agency group PR team, I'm realizing now in hindsight why it felt so sudden. Because it was all orchestrated and capitalized upon. But in looking back at my attempted discussion posts and their removal for arguably a subjective reason, like being, quote, low effort, now I'm suspicious that the mods of those subreddits are linked to the agency group PR. Well, it's interesting that this person would speculate this and take it with a grain of salt. It's a Reddit speculation. But Jed Wallace was given the full Reddit credit on the we're killing it on Reddit, crushing it on Reddit, whatever they said. And so it would be interesting if Jed Wallace had some kind of connection to, I don't know, Reddit. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just so interesting to me that that's where Bam Margera's biggest haters are too. And that's where the free Bam movement's biggest haters are too. It's so interesting to me that you cannot say nothing nice about me on Reddit, like pretty much anywhere. You cannot. When the infiltrators came into the free Bam movement, one of the very first things they did was start a Reddit, a That Surprise Witness or That Surprise Army Reddit. I never went on them Reddits. That was not my Reddits. They started it. It's like Reddit is a part of this stuff. This person is speculating, saying, I think this was deleted from the pop culture chat for literally that reason. And like the top comment on there is from somebody named Mission Moth. Let me put it on here so y'all can see it. The top comment, look, just popping in to remind folks that dang near everything posted on our pop culture chat is PR. Can't speak for FOMOI, but pop culture chat is a PR tool first and foremost. That's interesting. Very interesting indeed. So, I mean, all just speculation. But I did want to go to just one other piece of information because it pulls Jed Wallace into even more area of mystery to me. And, I guess the litmus test will be if you're allowed to post about this anywhere on Reddit and it stays up, maybe this theory could be debunked. But I don't know. I mean, really try to look up anything about this man. Why has everybody else got stuff popping up left and right about them? Why did they have to pull Jed Wallace in for Reddit? I mean, I'm just curious. I'm just wondering. But I want to pull up this one document right here. Okay, so this is the Memorandum of Points and Authorities in the Bam Margera versus MTV Paramount. Remember when he sued over the Jackass 4 movie or whatever, and then they ended up settling? Well, while he was filming and they were on hold for filming and everything like that for the movie, he was under this treatment protocol or whatever, and it was administered by Jed Wallace from a company called Street Relations, okay? So in that case, MTV tried to get it dismissed as a SLAPP suit, an anti-SLAPP motion or whatever. And this document we're looking at right here is their memo in support of that request. Now, on page 4, we get a little bit of a mention of Jed Wallace. To effectuate Margera's sobriety commitment and to provide the accountability that people struggling with substance abuse need, the production company contacted Jed Wallace. Okay, now what is he being described as here? Quote, a leading expert in developing and assisting in the execution of treatment and recovery plans. He spoke and collaborated with Margera and his wife Nikki about putting together a protocol for Margera's health and sobriety, which Margera understood he would have to follow in order to participate in the upcoming movie. He was firmly on board with the wellness program and wanted to work toward his recovery and sobriety. After about a month of working with Margera, Wallace prepared an accountability overview, which set forth key aspects of Margera's wellness program and the people who were part of Margera's wellness team. Bam signed the document on February 24th, 2020, when he was sober. Based on his years, okay, now they're talking about Jed Wallace. Okay, Jed Wallace, the guy they brought in to handle Reddit. Who Justin Baldoni wasn't sure or not whether Jed Wallace was responsible for the Perez Hilton TikTok. This is him being described here. I mean, unless there's two Jed Wallaces that both got a company named Street Relations Inc. Okay. But based on his years of experience developing sobriety protocols, Jed Wallace knew that Bam would need formal accountability process in order to stay sober, which is common for individuals with histories of substance abuse. As a result, the wellness program required alcohol and drug testing to validate that Bam was sober. The testing regimen that he was required to follow required random urine testing. Jed Wallace, also arranged for Bam and his family to have daily access to treatment professionals who worked with them on Bam's sobriety and their overall well-being. And I'm like, who are these treatment professionals and who paid? Part of this accountability overview provided that Bam would routinely take medication that he had already been prescribed. He would be monitored while he took it. And then it says Paramount hired Jed Wallace. Okay, so Jed Wallace was the center point of contact for all these people. Jed Wallace was the one that the doctors were reporting to. Do not take my word for it. I will show you why I said that. The talent agreement contained a provision formalizing Margera's obligation to comply with what? Wallace's wellness program and granting Paramount the right to terminate the contract about the movie if Jed Wallace concluded that Margera was not in compliance. Specifically, the talent agreement says as follows: Margera shall be obligated to stay sober and in compliance with the core protocol arranged by Wallace and his team of medical experts and advisors. Okay, who hired this guy? Paramount. Now it does say, but had no role in the program. But I mean, they kind of did have a role in the program if they hired the guy who did the program. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. They calling it Wallace's wellness program. Also, if Bam were to break the agreement at all, Paramount and D-House Productions and all of them get to own all the intellectual property rights. And I just can't imagine that that was in any way a conflict of interest, allowing them to maybe want to possibly terminate the agreement. So then they're like, okay, so Bam started breaking and violating his wellness agreement that he had agreed to. He was regularly missing his appointments with Jed Wallace's team. Again, this is the freaking Reddit PR guy from the Blake Lively lawsuit, y'all. He ends up relapsing. Shortly after that, Bam flew to Florida to enter a treatment facility where he tested positive for Adderall. Okay, and they were calling this Banyan Treatment Center. Now, I just want to show y'all like what I find to be the most alarming aspect of this whole thing so far, and I don't see anybody talking about it, but it has to do with the conflicts of interest, okay? Jed Wallace, hired by Paramount to basically be Bam Margera's handler, let's call it what it is, the one that everybody's supposed to be answering to. Let me pull up again. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to show y'all. Don't take my word for it. Don't even take my word for it. Here is a declaration of Jed Wallace right here. Jed Wallace, take it from the horse's mouth himself, okay? Take it from the horse's mouth itself. Declaration of Jed Wallace in support of Paramount. So he's on Paramount's side trying to get Paramount to get rid of their agreement with Bam so they can own the whole movie and just take the movie out from under Bam. And they allege that this was legal and Bam agreed to it. He said he obtained his undergraduate degree from Fordham University in 1993, but then Bam's lawyer would later come back and say that's not true. We were not able to confirm that. And then Jed Wallace had to come out and say, oh yeah, well actually I didn't actually finish at Fordham, but I thought I still got my degree from there even though I didn't graduate from there. Okay, got it. He says he has over 17 years of experience working in the substance abuse and behavioral health fields. Again, this is the Reddit PR specialist that Justin Baldoni hired through Melissa Nathan. And remember, again, Melissa Nathan is sus to me already because she's shilling stories to her sister, Sarah Nathan, who's a journalist at the Page Six. Okay, so this Melissa Nathan is just a little sus to me. What in the hell is Jed Wallace doing? Being in 17 years of experience working in the substance abuse and behavioral health fields. He creates ethical treatment programs. He's worked for high-profile clients, including celebrities and movie studios. Eventually he would work for Wayfair, I guess. I'm often brought on to cases where previous treatment and recovery attempts have failed. My goal is to create a treatment program that will help the individual find their way toward accountability and recovery. Ideally, putting them out in front of other people, forcing them to be an example to others, even though they didn't ask for that. He created Bam Margera's recovery thing. Here's the team. Okay, here's Exhibit 14. We've got the team. All right. The team of Jed Wallace, what's his job? Here are the current players and their roles and understanding that Bam complies with everything and consistently shows improvement. Number 1, Jed Wallace. Navigate entire process, participants, comms between all involved parties. This is Jed Wallace's job on the Bam Margera Handler Brigade. Bam and everyone on the team must report all updates to Jed as they happen. Bam and everyone have been very responsive and willing to do what is required. Who else is on this team? Heather Hayes and Holly Ryan, her staff. What was their job? Report details, updates, and progress. Now, Heather Hayes might sound familiar to you because Jed Wallace runs PR for them too. That's another sober. That's the ones that'll come pick you up in the van and throw you in the van and bring you wherever your family wants you to go in the intervention. They were on Bam Margera's team. Then they got the doctor, another doctor, Robin Barnett. But here's the interesting thing about the nurse psychiatrist or the what she calls psychiatric nurse practitioner. Look at this. She reports all updates to Jed and team. The nurse that writes the medicine is reporting to Jed Wallace. Dr. Robin Barnett visited Bam and Nikki at home, assessed the environment as a therapist, weekly check-ins with Bam and Nikki and Phoenix and their environment. She reports all updates to Jed and team. Now, what if this is the same Jed Wallace at the same street relations that's in charge of the Reddit stuff? Do y'all think that could have possibly created some type of conflict if maybe Jed was also doing that type of work on Bam's medical case, that he had proprietary access to Bam's medical information? I mean, I'm just wondering. I do believe an investigation might need to happen, and I do believe maybe this could, explain why the mainstream media, including Viacom Networks, NBC, and Paramount, might not want me to seem too credible right now. Right as this stuff's coming to the surface, Jed Wallace. Right as you can't say nothing nice about me on Reddit. Never could for the last 2 years. What in the hell is really going on here? How is it family members and sisters working at Page 6, pulling in favors for the news? We got news coming out about celebrities from PR agents / recovery health experts. Who is Jed Wallace? I mean, we're not talking about no podunk middle of the street, middle of the mall practitioner here, y'all. This was hired to be Bam Margera's recovery coordinator, hired by a major movie studio, Paramount. Hello? This is weird. 3 times a day random tests. 3 times a day. Random 3 times a day. You can't do nothing. The following is currently the daily weekly routine that must be met with 100% compliance. Coordinated by Jed Wallace and team. Regular phone call check-ins. Weekly random drug golly. And look at this. Whenever he did test positive for something, when Bam finally did test positive for something in Florida, who did they email to? Heather Hayes. But does it say Heather Hayes or it says Paramount right there to you? Who did the sober house, the treatment center, who did they address he has it in his system letter to? Who did they address it to? Paramount. So Paramount wants to act like they didn't have anything to do with this, but then why was it getting sent to Paramount with a Heather Hayes email address? I mean, look, listen, the web is webbing and I just have some questions. Who are these people and how are they ended up in charge of these very strange, different things? Like, is he a behavioral health coach? Is he a person who hires or recruits social media influencers to make videos? Does he not do any of that? I mean, does he have some connection to Perez Hilton? I mean, the more information I find out, the more questions I have. Somebody needs to explain it to me. That's all I have for right now. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation, and neither is speculating, girl. Love you, Munich. Okay, bye.